but
for you.
doesn't even come close, okay, to the next film on the list. My personal favorite that you can see on my letterbox. The Incredibles, kind of, folks. The Incredibles, yes, The Incredibles.
Yep, that is a Lyndon favorite. Confirm.
It is a Lyndon favorite,
I think
yes.
that was a Lakeview Lenovo desktop background at one point, if I'm not mistaken. At one point,
yes, it was, because it's just that good.
Yep, I thought I remembered that.
Yeah, so... So yeah, The Incredibles is actually the first film that I believe Pixar acquired the story, because most of the time, you know, Pixar takes their brings their stories in-house, right? They make their stories in-house and all that. They do everything.
Yeah.
They don't buy anything or whatever. But this time, they actually purchased the story. I believe, correct me in the comments below, but I believe it was Brad Bird. And I know they asked Brad Bird to come in to direct it and write it and do all that stuff. And it's the first of 3 films that Brad Bird directed, and the only director that they had to officially, you know, acquire from outside elements that aren't specifically for Pixar and all that, which I gotta say, nice job, because this film is immaculate. Back as a kid, I did not believe so, though.
Oh, yes.
In the beginning, as a kid, I thought the beginning action was really fun. The middle part was really boring, and then it picked up again once he did his superheroing again. But then he got, then I guess there was more spy stuff, and I just thought the spy stuff was absolutely boring. And it wasn't until the end scene, like when the mom and the kids are on the island. We're skipping ahead though. When the kids and the mom got to the island, where the film actually got picked up for me again, where it actually got more intriguing, I guess, you know. I don't know, you know, it wasn't, there were parts of the movie that I thought were very, very boring, but today, as an adult man, I fully, like, relate to even the boring parts of this film, because I've lived through these parts, and I acknowledge the fact that these parts are, in fact, real.
Yeah, that's what life does sometimes.
Oh yes, and I'm not even Bob's age. But anyway, what's the story? Well, son, you want to talk about it? I don't think you want to talk about it. I'll talk about it.
I vaguely remember it. I don't really remember the middle section.
All right. Well, I'll do it then. So,
nice.
So, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, they get married and all that. Mr. Incredible does some property damage and saves a suicide attempt. Like wait, I don't think I can even say that on YouTube. So,
you're not wrong though. That is what happened.
It's a unaliving, if you will.
An
unaliving attempt, and saves him, but he sues Mr. Incredible because he didn't want to be saved, and then it just sparks a whole bunch of controversies and all that with the supers, as they're called, and, you know, there's a lot of property damage and people who, you know, all that type of stuff, and apparently they, you know, the supers, they are outlawed. So now Bob has to work as an insurance agent, which is funny in and of itself, but the fact that it's so boring and so just liquid eggshell white, it's just, yeah, it is that boring. Let me tell you.
The manager guy was kind of funny.
Yes, he is hilarious.
I liked it.
He's also the same voice as Rex from Toy Story.
He is.
Yes,
you're right.
Unfortunately, he has.
But you're right.
Unfortunately, he has passed away. May he rest in peace.
Rip Rex.
Yeah, because even though there's a Toy Story 5 coming, which we'll get to, but
yes.
I don't think we'll be seeing him anytime soon. We won't. If they make an Incredibles 3, we will not be seeing this boss character.
No.
Anytime soon. We haven't seen him in the second one, but we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Anyway. So yeah, there's some trouble brewing too, because Dash, his son, there's Mr. and Mrs. Incredible's son, gets in trouble. Violet, she's shy and all that, all that type of stuff.
Yep,
Jack doesn't have any powers or whatever, so there's that. Mr. Incredible, I guess, goes on a saving spree with Samuel L. Jackson, Frozone, if you will, which we'll get to. We'll get to. But anyway.
We will.
Yeah, they a whole bunch of shindigs go on, and their Mr. and Mrs. Incredible's marriage are kind of in a slump and all that. Mr. Incredible gets, pissed off, so he throws the boss through the room and all that, because he constantly gets in trouble for helping people, and he has to get relocated now, although he gets a card from someone who wants his superheroing. So he superheroes his way onto an island and fights a robot, starts his kind of midlife crisis, which I didn't even think as a kid what that was, but this is a midlife crisis where he exercises again, he gets thinner, he gets better, he starts spending more time with his family. I don't even know how he, I guess he does more stuff for the robot people or something, but I don't know exactly what they do. They don't show us, but anyway. Again, very short summary because there's a lot of things to be had here. He starts superheroing again, and lo and behold, he gets kidnapped and trapped by his former, number one fan, if you will, Syndrome. Incrediboy, if you will.
Turns to Syndrome.
And yeah, it turns into Syndrome. We don't actually know his real name, which is surprising, And
that's true.
And then the best part of the film comes around where the kids and the mom come over and try to save him and all that. They ultimately fail and they get captured, but after they reunite and they fight and all that, but and then there's a big huge fight at the end. Bada bing, bada boom, done. For the most part, that's the shortest I can possibly make it, and unfortunately, yeah. But anyway, I kind of want to keep this film semi-secret. Also, it's kind of unavoidable that people haven't watched it, so it's But anyway, most of the plot points will be covered when we explain why we like it so much, and the reason why I like it so much. As a kid, this was my first ever Disney film, and not just my first Disney film, my first Disney Pixar film, okay? Watched this on ABC and all that. As a kid, I found the first part to be extremely boring, and the second part to, it was, but the second part is more action-packed and a lot more exciting and all that. But as an adult, I'm like, oh gosh, he's going through a midlife crisis over here. Bob's going through midlife crisis, and
It's true.
superheroing is kind of his affair, I guess, because he starts, bulking up his family and all that. Like, he starts hanging out with his family a lot more. He starts having fun a lot more, enjoying life a lot more. Instead of going to work, he exercises at the freight yard, I guess.
But I thought he got fired for
He did
shoving the boss through the wall.
He did get fired. Instead of going to work, later on after his first superheroing duty on that one island where he destroyed the ball the ball robot for the first time.
Oh yeah, the big ball thing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't think it's necessarily quite that clear. Either he got a ton of money from that one job, or he's continuing to do things on the side or something, but for some reason, I don't know. But anyway, instead of going to work, he's exercising in the train yard or something, like getting more buff and less fat. So there's that, I guess. And then we get the introduction of Egna Mode, which is, without a doubt, one of the best parts of this whole film, and also was apparently created or voiced by the director himself, Brad Bird.
Did not know that. Cool.
I thought it was this one person from NCIS Los Angeles who has a very striking resemblance to this character, but she did not, apparently. I was as shocked and surprised as you are, but I mean, whatever. Anyway. But yeah, it deals with a lot more stuff, and this is kind of where Pixar went full force into being not just making kids films. They weren't actually making kids films. They're making adult films that were kid friendly, right? This is the most adult film that I think Pixar has ever made.
That's possible, yeah, especially with the Pixar mom bod thing, as we all know. If you don't know, you can look it up, folks.
I mean, we can explain it here, I guess, as long as we keep it somewhat translucent, I guess. I don't think YouTube will necessarily bog it down, but anyway. Yeah. So, for some reason, or I don't know, even I, as a kid, was like, why is she looking at her butt like that? So, Mrs. Incredible, aka Elastigirl, she's got a very nice figure, apparently, according to people who love to watch cartoon bodies, I guess, or something. But yeah, she's got a very, very interesting cartoony. She's got a very interesting shape, if you will. Yeah. A lot of guys, and I guess women as well, they really love Mrs. Incredible's body, and they've made a lot of interesting art pieces, if you will.
I could see that.
Yeah, they made a lot of decent art pieces and videos and all that stuff detailing this cartoon's body, which, okay, whatever. Which there's some memes that are really funny, like, for instance, why I love redheads so much, and one of the pictures is Mrs. Incredible. And, maybe other pictures like, I don't know, April O'Neil from the TMNT or something like that. And bunch of randomly hot cartoon characters and all that. Like, why as a kid, why do I love redheads so much as an adult? Me as a kid, all these redheads, including Mrs. Incredible and all that. So, yeah. Anyway, though, dare I say it, this is a very fabulous film, especially if you're an adult. As a kid, since I've been in both these camps, it's fairly interesting, to say the least. You might get more out of it. You might get more out of it with the last half of it when it gets more action packed and actually, I don't know, happy, I guess. But in the beginning, you're kind of like just bored out of your mind with it. But as an adult, I can say this: I loved every single minute of it. And yeah, what else can I say except fabulous work, son? What is your experience with said Incredibles?
I think I watched it when it came out, and I might have seen it one time after that. Let's see, I've got a Game Boy Advance game for it because the console version was T for teen, so I didn't get it at Sam's Club that day.
Wait. The Incredibles video game was rated T for teen?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct?
Wow. Oh, well, okay.
Mainly for, like, the fighting stuff, that's why.
Well, yeah, but still. Disney property, video game, T for teen. Interesting. Well, they were going into the Pirates of the Caribbean with PG-13, so makes sense.
True, yes.
It makes sense-ish, but still, The Incredibles, their animated properties. Wow. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. That's really about it. I mean, I like the film. I remember wanting to get all these like action figures related to it when I was a kid, but then I don't think I ever got any of them. But I thought about it.
I wanted to, but at that point in time, I don't think they were selling any more Incredibles merchandise, or hardly any, because, you know, once the movie comes out, they tend to rev down the production on toys and stuff. Like maybe a year after the toy stuff, except for Star Wars, except for certain properties like princesses and all that stuff. And The Incredibles was kind of.
Oh yeah.
The Incredibles was one of those films that's like, yeah, they made toys for them, but once the hype kind of wears down, they kind of stop making those toys. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
But I gotta say though, fantastic film. It's more than meets the eye, if you will. More than meets the eye, Transformers. And speaking of Transformers, it's got they fight an evil robot at the end, and yeah.
They also, do, yeah. Evil robots.
Also, we'll be detailing this in the next Incredibles film, because there's two, but it's got some of my favorite parts of it was with the family and all that, like, you know, superheroing as a family. I don't know, I just love seeing the family together. So, but yeah,
that's true.
It's more than meets the eye. I gotta say, 10 out of 10. This is probably my favorite Pixar film, surprisingly. Not just for sentimental value, but because it's just a fabulous film.
It is good. It wasn't one for me that and it might change if I went back and watched it again, but I'll give it a 9.
That's respectable.
Oh, it didn't quite captivate me like, you know, the monster. So, or one that we're probably about to talk about.